Donald Trump walked into Saudi Arabia and walked out with a $1 trillion deal. But what's really behind this historic agreement? Today, we're exposing the secret negotiations, luxury deals, and the jaw-dropping assets that shook the world. Setting the stage, Trump lands in Saudi Arabia. Imagine this: Donald Trump steps off Air Force One, greeted by an extravagant fanfare like no other. The heat of the Saudi Arabian desert is rivaled only by the warmth of the royal reception. Soldiers in ceremonial dress line the tarmac, golden swords glint in the sunlight, and an enormous red carpet stretches as far as the eye can see. This wasn't just a diplomatic visit, it was the beginning of a deal that would rewrite history. Trump's arrival marked the first time an American president chose Saudi Arabia for his inaugural foreign trip. Why? Because this wasn't just about politics, it was about making a statement. The Saudis rolled out the red carpet in ways that defied imagination, a royal banquet fit for kings, billion-dollar luxury, and the kind of hospitality that could only be described as royal extravagance. But this wasn't just pomp and circumstance. Behind the smiles, handshakes, and golden thrones, Trump and the Saudis were plotting something far bigger, an alliance sealed in trillions of dollars. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had a grand vision for his nation's future, and Trump saw an opportunity that couldn't be ignored. Every moment was carefully calculated, from the sword dance Trump joined to the priceless gifts exchanged. Little did the world know, this royal reception was just the prelude to the trillion-dollar shocker that would soon dominate global headlines. What is the $1 trillion deal? Let's talk numbers, because this isn't just any deal. It's the largest arms agreement in U.S. history, clocking in at a jaw-dropping $110 billion up front and commitments totaling $350 billion over the next decade. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. The Saudis weren't just buying weapons, they were buying influence, power, and long-term dominance in the Middle East. This deal wasn't only about tanks, fighter jets, and missiles. It extended to billions in investments in the United States, everything from technology startups to luxury real estate. Imagine hundreds of billions flowing into American industries, reviving businesses and fueling economic growth. For Trump, this wasn't just a win, it was a trophy, a testament to his self-proclaimed skill as a deal maker. But why $1 trillion? Because this deal was about more than just money. It symbolized a strategic partnership. For Saudi Arabia, it meant a military edge over rivals like Iran. For Trump, it was about strengthening an ally while showcasing his administration's ability to create jobs and solidify American influence. The sheer scale of the deal raised eyebrows around the globe. Critics called it controversial, but Trump called it a masterpiece. And the real question was, what else was hidden in this trillion-dollar transaction? Why Saudi Arabia wanted this deal? Saudi Arabia didn't stumble into this deal, it planned it meticulously. With tensions simmering across the Middle East, the kingdom needed more than oil wealth to maintain its dominance. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the mastermind behind Saudi's Vision 2030, saw this trillion-dollar deal as the golden ticket to transform his country into a global superpower. Think about it, the Middle East is one of the most volatile regions in the world. To secure its position, Saudi Arabia needed cutting-edge weapons, advanced technology. This deal gave them all of that and more. Fighter jets, missile defense systems, naval ships, each piece of military hardware bolstered their security and sent a clear message to rival nations. But it wasn't just about defense. This deal was about reshaping Saudi Arabia's economy. Vision 2030 aimed to reduce the kingdom's dependence on oil by investing in tourism, technology, and infrastructure. Partnering with the US was the perfect way to kickstart this transformation. For Saudi Arabia, this was more than a deal, it was a bet on the future. And for Trump, it was a moment to prove that he could deliver on his promise of putting America first. But the stakes were sky high, and both sides had a lot more riding on this than they let on. Breaking down the money, where did $1 trillion go? Let's follow the money. When we talk about $1 trillion, it's not just a number, it's a power move. So where did all that cash go? A staggering $500 billion was earmarked for U.S. arms, cutting-edge military tech, and missile defense systems that could transform Saudi Arabia into one of the most formidable powers in the Middle East. Imagine tanks, F-15 fighter jets, and warships. This was an arms race on steroids. But that's just half the story. Another $300 billion was injected into investments aimed at reshaping the Saudi economy and strengthening ties with American industries. Think luxury real estate, top-tier oil refineries, and technology startups that would help fuel Saudi Arabia's ambitious Vision 2030 plan. The goal? Move beyond oil, diversify their economy, and emerge as a global powerhouse. And just when it seemed like that was the whole picture, Saudi Arabia dropped another bombshell, billions more in infrastructure, energy deals, and surprise joint ventures aimed at reshaping the region. This wasn't just about weapons, it was about buying influence, dominance, and the future. And behind every handshake and signature, there were secret clauses, side deals, and more at play than anyone realized. Trump's negotiation tactics, how he sealed the deal. Donald Trump isn't known for subtlety, and when it came to this deal, he wasn't about to hold back. Walking into the negotiation room, Trump had one goal: secure the biggest deal in U.S. history and walk away a winner. And, as always, he knew exactly how to play his cards. During the high-stakes negotiations, Trump used his signature tactics. First, he emphasized strength. He painted the U.S. as Saudi Arabia's ultimate ally, capable of providing unmatched military protection. Second, he leveraged his art of the deal strategy, playing hardball to ensure the U.S. walked away with billions in investments. He wasn't just negotiating for weapons, he was securing jobs, boosting American industries, and delivering on his America First promise. One of the most memorable moments, Trump's fiery speech, where he praised the Saudi leadership, emphasized mutual respect, and warned against common threats like terrorism and instability. It wasn't just talk, it was calculated diplomacy aimed at sealing the trust between both nations. And behind the scenes, Trump reportedly threw in some unexpected sweeteners, exclusive trade agreements, tech collaborations, and even intelligence-sharing deals. By the time the ink dried, Trump had secured a deal so massive it left world leaders stunned, and it was all part of his grand strategy. Inside the gold-plated palaces, where the deal was signed. Picture this: marble floors so polished they reflect your every step, chandeliers dripping with crystal, and thrones encrusted with gold. That's the setting where the trillion-dollar deal went down, a palace so luxurious it made Trump Tower look modest by comparison. Every corner of the room screamed opulence, from the gold-plated walls to the diamond-studded furniture. As Trump and the Saudi royals sat down to sign the historic agreement, the atmosphere was thick with power and prestige. But it wasn't just the luxury that stood out, it was the symbolism. This wasn't just any meeting room. It was one of the most secure and exclusive rooms in the world, where only the highest-ranking officials could step foot. Even the refreshments were over the top. Imagine sipping tea out of gold-plated cups while enjoying delicacies flown in from around the world. And outside, an entourage of luxury cars, Rolls-Royces, Bentleys, and Ferraris lined the palace grounds, a stark reminder of the unimaginable wealth at play. But amidst all this luxury, the stakes couldn't have been higher. This wasn't just a deal, it was a political gamble, a strategic alliance, and a glimpse into the ultra-exclusive world of power, money, and global dominance. And for Trump, it was yet another moment to prove that he could play and win on the world's biggest stage. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, reimagining the future. This trillion-dollar deal wasn't just about defense systems or economic investments, it was about reshaping an entire nation. Enter Vision 2030, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's bold and audacious plan to drag Saudi Arabia into the future. With oil profits no longer a guarantee, the Crown Prince aimed to diversify the economy and reduce Saudi Arabia's dependency on black gold. And this U.S. deal? It was a critical puzzle piece in that master plan. Vision 2030 promised towering megacities, tech innovations, and cultural revolutions, but none of that would be possible without international alliances. That's why this deal wasn't just about buying weapons. It was about securing partnerships with American tech companies, inviting Silicon Valley's best minds to invest in Saudi Arabia's transformation. And it didn't stop there. Billions were poured into futuristic projects like NEOM, the $500 billion desert megacity set to redefine luxury living. As part of the deal, Trump negotiated trade opportunities, joint ventures, and even tourism collaborations. Picture luxury resorts rising on Saudi Arabia's untouched beaches and ultra-high-speed trains zipping across futuristic landscapes. For MBS, this was more than politics. It was about legacy, and thanks to this historic deal, Vision 2030 became more than a lofty goal, it started turning into reality. The $110 billion arms deal controversy, power, politics, and danger. Here's where things get explosive, literally. At the heart of the $1 trillion agreement was a jaw-dropping $110 billion arms deal. Think tanks, fighter jets, missile defense systems, you name it. But as soon as the ink dried, controversy erupted. Critics worldwide questioned whether flooding the Middle East with more weapons was a wise move. Was it securing peace or fueling future conflicts? From Washington to European capitals, whispers of concern grew louder. After all, Saudi Arabia was already a regional superpower. Now, with US backing and an arsenal of cutting-edge weapons, they were set to dominate. Some saw it as a dangerous arms race, but others argued it was a calculated move to counter rival powers like Iran. For Saudi Arabia, it wasn't just about defense, it was about leverage. With every fighter jet and missile battery, they strengthened their grip on the region. And here's the kicker: Trump defended the deal with his classic flair. He argued that it wasn't just about helping Saudi Arabia, it was about creating jobs, boosting the US economy, and reinforcing America's influence. Behind closed doors, diplomats scrambled to manage the fallout while Trump doubled down, emphasizing strength, loyalty, and the importance of protecting US allies. The secret side of the deal: hidden investments and luxury moves. While the media focused on the flashy weapons and billion-dollar figures, there was another side to this deal, one cloaked in secrecy and hidden agreements. Behind the official announcements were secret investments that reshaped industries. Think luxury real estate, high-tech oil refineries, and lavish personal ventures that only a select few knew about. Some of the hidden investments went straight into America's most exclusive industries. Saudi royals quietly bought stakes in top Hollywood studios, luxury hotels in New York, and even cutting-edge AI firms. It was a silent takeover, one that flew under the radar while the world debated missile contracts. Trump himself, ever the businessman, reportedly had a hand in encouraging these deals. But that wasn't all. There were whispers of even bigger moves, Saudi Arabia investing billions in U.S. infrastructure projects and megatech collaborations that could reshape energy markets worldwide. As the deal unfolded, the world realized that what was happening behind closed doors might be even bigger than what was publicly announced. It wasn't just politics, it was a game of influence, luxury, and power plays that would leave a lasting legacy on both sides. Trump's extravagant Saudi welcome. When Donald Trump touched down in Saudi Arabia, it wasn't just a visit, it was an entrance worthy of royalty. From the moment Air Force One hit the tarmac, it was clear this wasn't your typical diplomatic trip. Private jets flanked the airstrip, gold-lined walkways sparkled underfoot, and towering Saudi flags fluttered in the desert breeze. The welcome was jaw-dropping, but the real show was just beginning. Trump was greeted with a royal ceremony straight out of a medieval fantasy. Sword dancers lined up, performing ancient rituals that had been reserved for kings and sultans for centuries. The air buzzed with the pulse of traditional drums, and Trump even took part in the sword dance himself. Awkward, yes, but unforgettable. This wasn't just hospitality, it was a spectacle of wealth, power, and tradition. Inside the gilded halls of Riyadh, the luxury didn't stop. Trump and Saudi leaders signed agreements in opulent, gold-encrusted rooms that looked like they belonged in a billionaire's palace. Deals worth billions flowed with the stroke of a pen as chandeliers glittered above. But this wasn't just about symbolism. This reception sent a loud and clear message to the world. Saudi Arabia meant business, and Trump was their VIP guest. Critics speak out. The backlash begins. For all the gold, glitz, and billion-dollar deals, Trump's Saudi trip didn't sit well with everyone. Back in the US and around the world, critics were quick to raise their voices. Some accused Trump of prioritizing money over morals, pointing to Saudi Arabia's controversial human rights record. They argued that shaking hands with Saudi leaders wasn't just about diplomacy, it was about choosing profits over principles. Media outlets ran headlines criticizing the $110 billion arms deal, questioning whether America should be fueling one of the most powerful militaries in the Middle East. What if these weapons were used in future conflicts? What about oil dependence? Climate change advocates chimed in too, warning that strengthening ties with oil-rich nations was a step in the wrong direction. But Trump, in classic Trump style, didn't back down. He defended the deal with his signature confidence, saying it was about strengthening America's economy and creating jobs. This is a win-win, he claimed. And billions of dollars would flow back into U.S. factories, and America's influence in the Middle East would grow stronger. To Trump, it wasn't about controversy, it was about business. Still, as the backlash grew, so did the whispers of what Saudi Arabia was really getting out of this historic alliance. What Saudi Arabia got in return? If you thought Saudi Arabia was just spending big, think again. This deal wasn't one-sided. In return for billions in military equipment and economic ties, Saudi Arabia gained something even more valuable: power on the global stage. This wasn't just about weapons, it was about prestige, influence, and securing their place as a dominant force in the Middle East. First, they got unprecedented military backing from the US. With state-of-the-art missile defense systems, cutting-edge fighter jets, and access to America's most advanced tech, Saudi Arabia's military muscle skyrocketed. No longer just a regional power, they were now equipped to compete on a whole new level. But it wasn't just about defense. The deal also opened doors to major economic partnerships. U.S. tech firms began investing in Saudi megaprojects, including the futuristic NEOM megacity. Trade deals promised to boost Saudi exports, while infrastructure collaborations brought U.S. companies into Saudi markets. And then there was the prestige. Trump's visit signaled to the world that Saudi Arabia wasn't just a rich oil nation, it was a key player in global politics. The Saudis had secured not just weapons, but a seat at the global power table, and they were determined to use it. This was more than a deal, it was a legacy move. The legacy of the trillion-dollar deal. This wasn't just any deal, it was a trillion-dollar power move that could shift global politics for decades. Trump's historic agreement wasn't just about money, it was about reshaping alliances, influencing global power structures, and securing long-term dominance. The impact is already being felt, with Saudi Arabia expanding its influence far beyond the Middle East. On one hand, the kingdom's military might has grown exponentially, thanks to cutting-edge American technology. On the other, economic investments are transforming Saudi Arabia into a futuristic global hub, with mega projects like the $500 billion NEOM city aiming to rival Silicon Valley. But the real game changer, the prestige. With this trillion-dollar alliance, Saudi Arabia isn't just playing the game, it's setting the rules. And it's not slowing down. This deal has opened the floodgates for more billion-dollar collaborations, from tech innovations to renewable energy investments. As Saudi Arabia pushes forward, the world is watching, wondering how far this new era of influence will stretch. One thing's for sure, this isn't the end. It's just the beginning of a geopolitical legacy that could define the 21st century. And just like that, a trillion-dollar deal rewrote the rules of global power. Trump's agreement with Saudi Arabia wasn't just about weapons, money, or politics, it was about building a legacy that could ripple through history. With billions flowing, military might expanding, and futuristic cities rising from the desert, this deal has reshaped the global chessboard. But here's the kicker, this is just the beginning. Saudi Arabia is already eyeing its next moves. Whether it's dominating renewable energy markets, advancing cutting-edge tech, or doubling down on luxury investments, the kingdom is positioning itself as one of the most powerful players on earth. And with the backing of a trillion-dollar alliance, who's going to stop them? Now, the big question is, was this deal a brilliant strategy or a risky gamble? Are we witnessing the rise of a new global powerhouse, or is there more to the story that we haven't seen yet? One thing's certain, this deal has forever changed the balance of power, and the world may never be the same. What do you think? Was Trump's trillion-dollar move a genius play or a dangerous bet? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you're intrigued, and subscribe to Billionaire Zone for more jaw-dropping stories on wealth, luxury, and power.